Could Kylian Mbappe seriously end up in Saudi Arabia? Yes, people, welcome back to another transfer news video. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. I'd love to hear it. What is your thoughts on Saudi Arabia purchasing all these players? And do you think Mbappe will end up at Al-hilal? Let's get straight into the story brought today by Bleacher Report stating this. Saudi Arabian club Al-Hilal is offering a record-breaking $1.1 billion to bring over Mbappe on a one-year deal. The transfer fee to PSG would be 332 million euros and his salary would be 776 million euros, which is absolutely unreal, by the way. And if that didn't hit you enough, wait for this next tweet. This breaks down Kylian Mbappe's salary for one season at Al-Hilal, right? He would earn 1,332 euros a minute. This video has gone on for 57 seconds. Basically meaning, right now, Mbappe would have earned 1,332 euros. That is absolutely crazy. Some people work all month for that type of money. Oh my god, it's ridiculous. So, what is my thoughts on it, right? Because it's been no surprise that Saudi Arabia have splashed the cash on certain players. I mean, I thought when Ronaldo came, I was like, oh, Ronaldo going to Saudi Arabia. That happened in January. Bit of an interesting one. The Saudi Arabian League, fairly unknown. I mean, the only player I've heard of that went there was really Odio Nigalo and David Ospina. But that was basically the first in a chain reaction. It was like a butterfly effect. And since then, it's been cascading like an avalanche. Saudi Arabia purchasing all these players. Benzema, Kante, Mane could be on his way there. You never know. Ruben Neves, for example. They're not just going for the veteran players anymore. Saudi Arabia are going for the best players around. And this one, Kylian Mbappe, is basically the icing on the cake. This is the one to say that we're serious right now. They tabled 300 million euro bid for Mbappe, whose contract runs out next season. PSG were hoping for 100 million euros, knowing that the player wanted to leave and the fact that his contract runs out. And they just offered 300 million. 3 times what any other club was probably willing to offer for Mbappe. It's just absolutely crazy scenes. Absolutely crazy by all accounts. Now, the positive news is that Mbappe doesn't look like he's going to accept this proposal. The positive news is that Mbappe wants to stay in Europe. And although in the deal it says that after one season Mbappe can go to Real Madrid, he's still not willing to do that. He'd rather sit on the bench, reports are, at PSG than go to Saudi Arabia. And that's a positive sign. I'm not saying positive because I don't like Saudi Arabia or anything like that. I just don't like the way they're going about this football. Now, I understand that any league should have the opportunity to build themselves up. But am I incorrect in saying this is basically like a Super League they're building? Like the Super League got shot down from Florentino Perez. Saudi Arabia are building the Super League. You just can't see it. It's just been disguised by the Saudi PIF League or whatever it's called. The money's there. They're not even signing to clubs anymore. They're signing to the league. And then the league just like assigns what club they go to. Right, Saudi Arabia want to buy Sadio Mane. We'll put you on Al-Ittihad. We'll put you on Al-Nassr. We'll put you on Al-Hilal. That's basically what it is. You sign the player and then give him to whatever club. So, look, if Saudi Arabia are going to keep making this splash, they'll be able to sign top players. Because the thing is with top players, right, money talks at the end of the day. That's no surprise why Koulibaly's gone, Kante's gone, Benzema's gone. These are still top players at the top of their game. But I think if you're still a young player and you want to make a name for yourself, you want to stay in Europe. But the more time that Saudi Arabia have, it's going to suit them. Because season in, season out, if they keep spending money, if they keep bringing over players, their relevancy will rise season in, season out. And suddenly it'll get to a point where the Saudi Arabian League may be the best league in the world. In the case where it's not a case anymore of having to prove it in the Premier League. Like people always say, you have to prove it in the Premier League. You have to prove it in the World Cup. These are the big boy competitions. The best league in the world in the Premier League. It might get to a point where you have to prove it in the Saudi Arabian League. Because that is the best league in the world. With the best players, the best managers. It might reach that point. Now, it's not at that point right now. But with every player that comes over, with every player with some sort of status that comes over, they're building a reputation and they're building some kind of relevancy within the league. And for me, that's not necessarily a good thing. Look, I love football. I love football by all accounts. But I think every football fan can agree is that inflation is not the one. Because this is what's going to happen, guys. This is a knock-on effect of Saudi Arabia spending this type of money. The other leagues around the world are not going to stand for it. They're not going to sit there and go, right, Saudi Arabia can spend the money, that's fine, they can have all the best players. They're not going to. The Premier League wants to compete, Serie A, La Liga, they want to compete. But the thing is, they ain't got the money. They ain't got the money that Saudi Arabia has. Saudi Arabia's got billions of dollars, billions. Now, I know other countries do too and other leagues do too, but it's nowhere near the wealth that Saudi Arabia has. So what do? To raise capital, the fans are the ones that hurt. That's what's going to end up happening, guys. Because suddenly, to go to a Premier League match, prices go up. Suddenly, to buy a shirt from your favourite team, prices go up. Why? Because clubs need more money to compete with the Saudi Arabias of the world. That's what it's going to be. And who's going to be harmed from that? The fans. Because football is about the fans at the end of the day. Because make no mistake about it, England hasn't exactly got the trust funds that Saudi Arabia's got. So for me, whenever money gets injected into football, fine. I'm all for different leagues and different clubs having their shot at success. But the knock-on effects, the ripple effects, it causes long-term problems. And that's what I don't want to see, because we've already seen inflation in football be so... It's so out of proportion. It's not even fair. If you go to football games nowadays, how many kids do you see in the stands? You don't. It's only old men there. Because why? Because the kids can't afford to go football anymore. Because they haven't got the money. It's got to a point where clubs have had to put in initiatives where Europa League games at Arsenal, Carabao Cup games, FA Cup games, the prices are being capped so kids have an opportunity to watch their team play football live. Because then there's no chance to get a Premier League ticket. No chance, man. You're talking about 80 quid to watch Arsenal play Bournemouth. That's my team, Arsenal. So how are we going to be able to compete when teams like Al-Hilal are coming in for Mbappe for 300 million? Suddenly you're going to have Premier League clubs wanting to spend that money as well, realising they haven't got the money, thinking, okay, how can we get the money? We haven't got a trust fund. Our owner isn't putting in the money. Right, we're going to have to raise prices. So you're looking from that standpoint, it's not going to be good going forward. Now, I'm so delighted that Kylian Mbappe reportedly is rejecting this. I'm so delighted that he wants to stay in Europe. And hopefully that's a sign that Saudi Arabia haven't always got their way. They can't just win with money. Because this is another thing, right? You can never motivate people with money because it only goes so far. Numbers are infinite. If you're motivating someone because of the salary you offer them, then they're just going to want more money down the line. You're pushing the boat out and it's a dangerous, vicious cycle. Whereas if you motivate them because they've got a chance to be one of the greatest players of all time, to play in a very demanding, competitive league, to prove their talents, to be really tested and have great players around them, that's not money. Yeah, money helps. Yeah, money's a massive supplement and it's the reason they're footballers in the first place, so they can pay the bills. But that's not the be all and end all. Because make no mistake about it, if you're earning 200 grand in Europe a week, you're still going to live a luxury life. You're still going to live a top 0.1% lifestyle in the world. Now, obviously, if you get the Mbappe salary, the 700 million a year, you're top class. Like you've escaped the Matrix. Well done to you, man. You can afford your yachts and your Beverly Hills mansions if you want them. But let's be completely honest about it. It gets to a point where legacy is more than numbers in the bank, because numbers in the bank can only go so high. It gets to a point where you want to have the legacy. You want to be remembered as the greatest footballer of all time. And in my opinion, guys, look, I've got the Mbappe shirt on right now. Mbappe, for me, is the greatest player in the world right now. For me, Mbappe has got a chance, a genuine chance of being the greatest footballer of all time one day. And I don't say that lightly, because I don't think Haaland's really got a chance for it. And it's sad to say. I think the only player out of the current crop of players I can see right now there's a genuine chance of GOAT status is Mbappe. He's won a World Cup already. The man is influential when he touches the football pitch. He's got a hat-trick in another World Cup final. If he wins a Champions League, if he wins a Premier League, this man is well on his way to GOAT status. I 100% believe it. And I don't want him wasting his time out in Saudi Arabia because he sold his soul to get the paycheck. Do you get what I mean? That's just my genuine thoughts on it. Now, Saudi Arabia as a whole, spending money on players, I have no problem with that whatsoever. I know a lot of fans thinking, oh, what's Saudi Arabia doing coming in with all their cash? And I get that, as I explained earlier. I don't like all the inflation that's happening around football. But I don't mind Saudi Arabia trying to get themselves like a football league that's competitive, signing top players. I have no problem with that whatsoever. But when you're really mocking it, giving 300 million offer for a club that was holding out for 100 million, that's when you're really taking the mick right here. PSG just accepted it outright. They must have, once that phone got picked up from Al-Hilal for 300 million, they must have been sitting there going, have we heard you right? Can you repeat that one more time? We wanted to make sure you didn't say 30 million. Do you get what I mean? So when you're looking from that standpoint, I understand the fans that are saying Saudi Arabia going a little bit too far in it. That's just my thoughts on it. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section. Please do let me know. What is your thoughts on Saudi Arabia in terms of what they're doing around football? What are your thoughts on Mbappe? Who would you like to see Mbappe sign for? Obviously, I'd like to see him sign for Arsenal, but that's not really the likely outcome right now. He is most likely going to go to Real Madrid. That's been my thought process throughout this whole time. But yeah, please do let me know. And if you're new around here and you love to keep up with daily transfer news videos, this is the place for you. You have to subscribe down below on my road to 4,000 subscribers. I've been Football. I appreciate you guys all for tuning in, and I hope to catch you all in my next one. Take care.